So this is Stephanie Washer, and I'm going to walk you through how to use our CIS Netlabs. So if you've used these for the first time, you're probably in Cisco 1 in our PCT 120 class. We have two websites that we're using right now. One is through Rock Valley College, so it's cisnetlab.rockvalleycollege.edu, and the other one's through Moraine Valley College. The directions on how to get to the website and the username and password assigned to you will be in the directions of each hands-on lab. So in this instance, we're using the Netlabs from Rock Valley, and you can see WTC before the storm, basically. And actually, it's so long ago that the HSC was being built, and you can kind of see the construction in the background. Anyway, so we're going to put in a username and password and log in. We'll wait a second for it to get going. And then if you log in for the first time, you have to choose a new password. So I'm going to choose a new password. It asks if you want to change your email address. I'm leaving it to the one that it will be your student email, but I'm leaving it the way it is here. And time zone. So we're going to change this to Central Time because that's the time I know. You'll want it to match exactly how you read time and what time zone you're in, so that it's easiest for you. So I just want to get in here quickly and easily and be able to see everything based on how I'm used to the week looking. The count is ready to use, so yes, I understand that. This is the main screen that you'll see. I don't have any lab reservations right now, but I'll show you what that looks like in a second. RVC student up in the upper right-hand corner. We have our settings. We can log out here. I'm not going to click log out, but so in the RVC student, you can change your picture, which you should be able to change your picture. Yeah, we don't have it set up. I can change that if you want. You can change your password. I'm going to cancel. And when you click cancel, some of them get you out of there. But the other big thing is if you want to change your email or if you want to change your time, you can do that if you forgot to do it. So under view, it has any of your completed labs. It has your files and your history as well for configuration. You can schedule from the schedule here, or I just always use, I don't really use this as much in the upper right hand corner, but I come down to new lab reservation and schedule a lab for myself. And it should pop up and come up with the curriculum for Cisco 1, which it did. And notice we didn't do, there's a bunch of labs we didn't do. I didn't want to stress anybody out the first week because we had so much going on. There's just so much going on right now, so I didn't want to stress everybody out the first week. There were plenty of packet tracers that we could use. So now we have Chapter 7, and there's just two labs that I required in Chapter 7, and that is viewing the network device MAC addresses and viewing the switch MAC address. So I'm going to go through and click on 727. And this is the pod scheduler. There's two pods, and you can click on any one of these. In the past, we had, in one of the pods, you want to make sure that you're using fast Ethernet or gigabit Ethernet. So sometimes the labs will say, assign an IP address on fast Ethernet or assign an IP address on gigabit Ethernet, and you may not have that port. So I'll show you how to check and see if the ports are correct on these. Because some of these are live switches and routers, and some of them don't match exactly. They may not have gigabit, they might have fast Ethernet ports instead. So yeah, I'll just show you how to match all it up. So what we have is a screen where we can choose our reservation. It says length of reservation 35 minutes. Don't ever do that to yourself. You always want like at least an hour, if not more, because you want plenty of time. At 3:15, so I did mine till 3:30. At 3:15, you only have 15 minutes left. You can extend that reservation if you want, or you hurry up and get done before the time. So you can give yourself a couple hours. Don't think that you're going to get done in 45 minutes. I'll show you what to do if you get done early. So now we're going to submit this. And click on OK. And if you did it correctly, you can enter the lab right away. Sometimes it'll do like later and then you can't enter the lab right away. But if you click on it right close to that, the timeline, you'll be able to get in. So I'm gonna enter the lab and click on enter lab. So what it's doing is we have a switch and a piece in a VM, a virtual machine. So we have all of this equipment in the server closet in the WTC. So you can access all of this information. And so they're routers, real routers and switches, and you can program it. And this Netlabs software is amazing. It lets you do everything that you need to do in the lab environment. And it's live equipment, so you are programming it even though you're not touching it. So you'll notice that we have pod over here. You can erase all your, up in the upper right-hand corner, you can erase all your devices, load all your devices, save them, and then your reservation. So if it's 15 minutes left, so if you only have 15 minutes left, you can request more time. You can change to a different lab exercise, or you can end your reservation now. So if you get done early, please end the reservation now, because then it will allow other people to use the lab system. If you don't do that, then your reservation is going to stay until the end. And I just ask for you to be kind and do that so that everybody can use the lab if you're not using it. So here we have topology, and you can see we have a switch and a PC. The next tab is content. You can also download this. So you can hit here and download it. It'll take a second here. I am going to save it in my downloads. So I'm going to download it. But you can always come back here to look at the lab. There's status, which tells you that both devices are powered on, and we can do whatever we need to do on each device. I never use this status really. And then there's switch one. So this is actually switch one, and it's booting up. Yeah, see, when I try and click and hit enter, it says switch one is ignoring you because it's performing an automated operation. It's on its startup. So it's doing post right now. So it's the power on self-test waiting to come up. So here we go. The switch is loading. And then I'm going to click on PCA. PCA is a VM, and it is going to be just like your PC screen. So whatever you need to do in the lab, you can. So what I generally do is we'll see how well this works. I put one. So we got the lab on one side, and then the lab system on the other. So when we look at this in the lab, switch one, it tells us what the interface. So we've got our device is switch one. Our interface is VLAN 1. The IP address on this interface will be 192.168.1.2. Our subnet mask, and then we don't have a default gateway. And this is all for switch one. Then PCA, we can see that we want to put 192.168.1.3 on the network card with the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, and then the default gateway of 192.168.1.1. So right now, the directions aren't telling us to put that in anywhere. So as we go down, we will see we have our objectives, our background scenario. In the instructions in this lab, it says configure your devices and verify connectivity. Well, we're not configuring the devices, so that part you won't have in your labs. You'll just have where you're going to do the configuration. So in step one is where we really start. So the first thing we're going to do is configure the IPv4 address for the PC. So we're going to go to the PC, and since I'm already on it, I like to go to network and internet settings here. Let's see if it'll go. Might take a minute. And then I like to come down here to change adapter options. So this is a Windows 10 machine, and I like to right click on local area connection. Come on now. And go to properties. And we will go down to Internet Protocol version for TCP IPv4. That is where we're going to change the IPv4 settings. We're going to use the following address, and we're going to use that address that is in the table. So it's 192. So this is the PC 192.168.1.3. And then we're going to do the 255. It's already put it in there for us. And our gateway is going to be 192.168.1.1. And then we're going to click OK and OK again. If you do not either click OK or cancel out, so you'll want to click OK and OK again if you made changes. But if you didn't make any changes, you can cancel. But if that's up, so if those screens were up that I just closed, you're not going to be able to ping or do anything. So I'm just going to close everything just because I don't like all that stuff cluttering the screen. So that was configuring the IP address. Configuring the IP address, part A, and then we're going to ping. So I'm going to open up command prompt, which is right here. The other way to do it is you can go down here in search windows and type in CMD. But I'm going to ping the switch, and you will want to come back up here. And the switch is 192. Is 192.168.1.2. So we're going to see if this works. Okay, so it says reply from 192.168.1.3, which that's the IP address of my computer, and it says destination host unreachable. So that's a bad ping. And generally, that's probably because they asked us if we can ping. No, we can't ping because we have not actually programmed the switch yet. So step 2 is configuring basic settings for a switch. So we're going to click on that. The switch is finally up, and this is what it looks like. We've got the switch prompt. So, and we can see right here, we're going to type in enable. So under step 2, number A or letter A, it says to type in enable, and we got into privilege exec mode, and we're going to go into config T or configure terminal. And I always just type in config T. I abbreviate everything. And we're going to go and name this. We're going to do host name switch 1. And in Packet Tracer, for those of you, if you do not capitalize that, Packet Tracer won't count that as correct. So if it wants a capital S, please put it in a capital S. That's all it wants. And then most of you, I notice on these Packet Tracers that you aren't capitalizing, and then you don't get 100%. If you want 100% on the Packet Tracer, then do the capitalization. But I will not take off for capitalization, just so you know. I don't base my grade on whether you capitalize the host name or not. The next thing we're going to do is disable DNS lookup. So if you spell or mistype something, it will try and look it up on a domain server. So it'll try and find a DNS server. Well, you do not want that to happen because it is kind of annoying. So you type in this command, no IP domain lookup under global config mode. And now we're going to put in the IP address. So on a switch, we generally put the IP address on interface VLAN 1 or whatever our management interface is. So in this instance, it's interface VLAN 1. Enter. And our IP address, it tells us right here, IP address 192.168.1.2, and then we always have to put the subnet mask behind it. So 255.255.255.0. And then we always, anytime we configure an interface, we type in no shut or no shutdown. And so we always have that in there. And then it tells us to do end or whatever, but I like to do, and you'll notice that it's already changed to up. So I'm going to do Control Z, which is the shortcut to get us back to this prompt. And now it says ping the switch from PCA. So I'm going to switch back to PCA. And I've already done the ping for the switch. And if you use up arrow, it will repeat your previous command. So I'm just going to do up arrow. And I'm going to hit enter. And it might take a minute for it to work. Yep, it did. So the first one was request timeout and the rest were good. If you want to see them all be good replies back, just hit it again. Up arrow and hit enter and let it go through the process again. So now you have a good one. I don't generally, it doesn't really matter. I know that if it's replying towards the end, if you're having intermittent internet problems, yeah, you'll probably want to do the ping more than once. So now you can go in and you can start following the directions in the lab. Part 2 is like just going through and analyzing and looking at different things on the MAC address for the PC. If you want all of the information about the PC and the network card and all that, you just type in command ipconfig/all. And I don't know if you can see. So it gives you everything that you need. And what they're asking for you for in this instance, so in this lab, it explains the OUI and the 6-digit physical MAC address. So when you do ipconfig/all, you go up to your Ethernet adapter local area connection, and we look at the physical address, and it's 6 sets of digits. So the first 6 numbers are the OUI, and the second 6 numbers are the vendor code. So the vendor assigned. So the first are the code for the exact vendor, and then the rest are assigned by that vendor. So how they describe it in here is the first 6 are the OUI, and then the last 3 or the last 6 are the serial number for the network card. And so in here, our OUI for the MAC address, you can see we've got 005056. That would be our OUI. And then it looks like 92E576 would go down to the MAC address underneath here. And then what you do is whatever your answer is for this one, the OUI portion, you're going to Google it and find out what your manufacturer of your network card is. And the directions in here tell you all about it. And we did the ipconfig all. And honestly, like for these, you can use this as an example here, but really in B, if you used the MAC address of PCA in A, I'm okay. You can just skip that. You don't have to do the one as an example. Then we go to the MAC address for switch 1. All we need to do is go to switch 1, and we're going to choose show interfaces VLAN 1. You can do show interfaces and hit enter, but it'll show every single interface there is, and it gets really annoying. And so here is everything. We've got VLAN 1 is up, the line protocol is up. That's what you want. You want to see up and up. So you want to see that. And then you've got everything you need to know about this interface, but the MAC address right here is what you want to look at. So what is the MAC address? That's this right here. It doesn't copy and paste so nicely, so you might not be able to do that. So we've got the MAC serial number, we got the MAC OUI. So remember, the serial number is the last 6 numbers, and the OUI is the first 6 numbers. And then those first 6 numbers are the OUI. You can use that to find the vendor for the switch. And you can just keep going through and looking at all of that information. So you can go through and follow the directions on this lab. And that is 7.2.7. If you have any questions, just send me an email.